Atlantis ISS, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Yes, we're ready for the event.
WBBM TV, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Atlantis ISS for a voice check.
Hello, check, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. How do you hear the space station?
I can hear you perfectly. Wow, that's amazing. It's so good to see all of you. I want to thank you for talking to us. And I want to start by asking a question to Sandra, if possible, because we know she's from downstate Illinois. Sandra, how meaningful is it for you to be a part of this last launch?
Well, you know, we were so focused on the launch, the training during most of our preparation time, I hadn't really thought about it, but I will tell you it's an honor to be a part of any shuttle crew, and this one is really special because it is the last one. And we're just very busy up here, and I think it's going to hit us a little bit harder once we land there at the Cape and have to say goodbye to Atlantis for the last time.
Wow, it sure is. What's next for the space program, and what is the impact for future generations without the space shuttle launches?
Well, we're going to find out here next year. I think that there's one big capability we're going to miss up here on the International Space Station, and that's being able to return items like the Space Shuttle Atlantis is returning when we come back. Last year, there was a critical pump that failed, and we're going to bring it home so the engineers can take a look at it. Of course, when we lose the space shuttle, we're not going to have that capability anymore. But we are building new rockets. Some of our commercial folks are putting rockets together for us, so we'll be able to visit the space station again soon in a U.S. product.
So what happens personally for you and your careers? What is your next operations involved without being able to go up in space?
Well, it's not exactly correct. I mean, we have opportunities following this. We're going to continue to crew the International Space Station for the next decade at least. So we've got opportunities there to fly in space, and then we've got some great opportunities on the ground as well, supporting development of our next vehicle, which is going to go beyond low Earth orbit. And then we also have, you know, a chance to contribute with the commercial companies as they come online to build vehicles that are going to come to the International Space Station. So there's going to be plenty for us to do.
You know, that's interesting because I wanted to ask you that. There's so much talk about the commercial programs and sending citizens, private citizens, into space. What do you feel about that? You guys are moving forward in advancing science. How do you feel about just us average Joes trying to do what you do?
Hey, I think that's really important. The more people can get in space, I think the better. It's just an amazing place up here, and I'd like everybody to be able to experience it. The problem is right now it's very expensive to get people to space, and so the way we'll get more and more people have access to space is to bring that launch cost down. And so we're gonna try to do that, and as we do that, it'll make it cheaper to do important research up here on the space station, but also eventually someday it'll make it easier to have access to the everyday person to be able to get to space.
What is your advice for young people who are interested in moving into your profession, and also just people in general who are interested in the space program? With all the changes going on right now, what do you advise them?
Well, certainly keep tuned in because a lot of exciting things are going on. And for young people, you know, when we were all younger, we dreamed of being astronauts, and it seemed like a very remote chance or a remote idea. But if you work really hard, you persevere, and you follow your dreams, anything can happen. And here we are, testimony to that. So I would advise any young person, whether you're interested in being an astronaut or being involved in the space program or whatever your dream is, just give it a shot. Go for it. Believe in yourself. Work hard. You can do it.
And for those of us who are maybe fantasizing about it now that there is talk of private people going into space, what is your advice for those people who want to get involved in the program? What's the coolest thing about actually being up there? It's fun to see you guys having anti-gravity effects. What would we expect?
Of course, there's a lot of things to enjoy up here, and not the least of which is being able to float around. That's a sensation that very few people have experienced, and it's really kind of interesting to translate to travel between these modules, kind of like Superman. Your legs don't get a lot of use, and your arms get an awful lot of use. So you know, there's a lot of great things to look forward to, and when folks perhaps who, not just the wealthy few who have been able to travel to space commercially so far, but when the average person is going to be able to do it, it'll be more like, well, commercial air travel. So I would see maybe 20 or 30 years in the future, we'll have commercial airlines to space, just like we have commercial airlines that go between cities in the United States now.
I know Sandra mentioned before that you guys were very busy and didn't really have a lot of time to reflect, but is there anybody who's feeling particularly nostalgic or sentimental about this final journey?
Well, yeah, as you know, we are very busy and we're concentrating on a mission, but every once in a while, when it just quiets down for a minute, I remember sitting on the mid-deck the other day and thinking, wow, this is the last time this vehicle is going to fly. Here we are in space. So just in fleeting moments between being really busy, you kind of think, wow, this is really it. But boy, it's going to hit when we land and we'll stop, and when all the pressure's off of the mission and all the busyness is done, we'll reflect back and we'll realize that the space shuttle has completed its mission, and it's not a time for sadness, it's a time for celebration. It's had a storied 30-year career, and we're very, very proud of it. And so I plan on, when we get back to the ground, celebrating with everybody who's worked so hard on this program to celebrate the great achievements over the last 30 years.
Well, thank you all so much for talking to us, and thank you for the wonderful work that you've been doing for us on behalf of the program.
Thank you very much. We'll see you.
Atlantis ISS, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the WBBM portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from KTVU TV.
Here on KTVU Morning News, it is Thursday. It's July 14th.
Sounds good. Stand by.
Good morning, Pam Cook. Thank you for joining us. It's 6:26 right now.
This is an incredible morning.
Yes, it is.
Because for almost a week, we've been showing you the incredible pictures of the crew members of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. Well, this morning, Pam and I have the privilege of talking to the shuttle crew live about their historic mission.
Atlantis ISS, this is KTVU TV. Can you hear us?
Yes, Space Station reads you loud and clear. How do you copy us?
Copy that.
We hear you. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you, and ma'am, for joining us this morning. Tell us, okay, we've been talking about the barbecued chicken and the beans. What is it's called thermostabilized. Tell us about the food. How does it look? How does it taste?
Actually, the food's pretty good. Some of it is sort of in the form of meals ready to eat that the military has, where it's a pouch, you just heat it up and you eat it. The thermostabilized is in a dehydrated sort of form. As well, it comes in that form. You just add water, put it in the oven, and heat it up, and that's good to go as well. And of course, we have our special meal we're going to be sharing with the space station crew, and we'll be having a very nice time and reflecting. We originally wanted it on July 4th, but we'll have it instead at this time.
Well, just an observation, the four of you look terrific up there in space. We're so happy to be able to talk to you. But this is also the end of the shuttle mission. What are your thoughts now? The average person doesn't get a chance to talk to the space shuttle crew. You're winding down. This is the end of the shuttle mission. What are your emotions?
Well, it's like any, your first car, for example. You love it, you hate to see it go, but you realize that every vehicle has its time. And while, I personally believe there's a little bit of lifetime left in the space shuttle, we do have to realize that if we want to go beyond and get another rocket or craft that will go outside of low Earth orbit, the space shuttle's not the one. And eventually, we do want to go back to the moon, perhaps Mars or an asteroid, and we're going to need to stand down a little bit and take time and take perhaps the money that was used to operate the space shuttle and instead build a new vehicle with it, which is what we plan to do.